Hi guys. So in this unit 6.1, we will finally look at 3D printing as a disruptive technology, but also as something that can compromise sovereignty of a state. So just to be clear, what we're talking about when we talk about sovereignty of a state is the ability of a country to completely control its political affairs. So if you've got a situation where you can't defend your airspace, for example, or you can't control the information that's coming into your country, that will compromise its sovereignty. So most of you will be aware of 3D printers. Actually, they are incredibly affordable, so much so that they are commonplace in schools and will increasingly become commonplace in a home. So we watched this video, which actually talks about the technology being scaled up to be able to 3D print the components that go to make up a prefabricated home.
So having strong, sturdy walls, having a door that we can close at night, it's something that we take for granted, being able to lock our door and be safe. For many of these families, for years, sometimes even a lifetime, they don't have that opportunity to have a safe shelter. So when they move into a new story community, when they move into a safe home, families' lives are transformed.
Okay, so you can see we've really scaled up the technology here, and they've got very large 3D printers. But I think this illustrates very well the role that a disruptive technology can have.
Phase one for News Story and for Icon is a proof of concept house, and the good news is we've done it. We printed the first home in the United States that's going to be permitted, and for us, this is just the beginning. The real kind of home run for us is to be able to do what we've done here in Austin, Texas, in the developing world, and we're doing that in what we call phase two, which is in El Salvador. We are going to be printing an entire village for people that don't have homes.
Okay, so when we think there in terms of disruptive technology, there's a real potential here for it to transform the construction industry, not only in less economically developed countries, but in more economically developed countries as well. So making homes much easier to build and much more affordable. So this unit does specifically focus on sovereignty. So you may be wondering what the concern is with sovereignty. Well, this technology is so affordable and so cheap, and it can be used to make pretty much anything, certainly anything that is made out of plastic. So 3D printing does pose considerable risks to the concept of intellectual property. So now, just as we have file sharing for things like audio files, you can have the complete and utter blueprint of how to make something as a downloadable file. The pirates are going to get it. You are going to download these things for free. And when we start talking about downloading things like guns, as well as compromising our business models, which are based around intellectual property and trademarks and patents, we've also got security issues when we got people being able to print guns in a couple of hours at home through a downloadable file from the internet. So just have a think about the potential effects this disruptive technology is going to have on the ability for a country to control what's going on in its borders. And it's also going to compromise quite considerably those business models which are revolving around manufactured items not being able to manufacture by everybody. Those manufactured items can only be manufactured by certain people that have very expensive machinery. This changes it and it puts the technology into the hands of the people. But we'll watch this video on 3D printed guns.
Some are calling a high-tech nightmare playing out at security checkpoints across this country. It involves do-it-yourself plastic guns, and they work. They're slipping past those metal detectors, and here's ABC's senior justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
What you're looking at is not a toy. Virtually all plastic, able to defeat metal detectors. Lethal, tested as an effective, viable killing weapon by the ATF. Some of its bullets may not have enough metal to set off a magnetometer. Courthouses, major sporting events, all vulnerable.
A firearm like this can defeat hundreds of thousands of dollars that an arena or a courthouse has invested in security.
Case in point, an Israeli TV station made a plastic gun and was able to smuggle it right past security into a room with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Look at that, gun and Prime Minister only feet away. And what also has police concerned is that these guns can be made at home. They can be produced from commercially available 3D printers that literally build three-dimensional parts from plastic materials. The blueprint for how to make such a gun has been posted online. You can legally produce such a weapon as long as you include several ounces of metal. Problem is that metal can be easily removed. With this metal block, this weapon is perfectly legal, but if you remove it, this gun becomes invisible, undetectable, an assassin's dream. And an even bigger problem. Current federal law regulating undetectable guns is set to expire December 9th. Then such a gun can be manufactured with no meaningful requirement for metal. So the potential exists for a black market of undetectable, untraceable, dangerous guns. A security nightmare. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
So you can see how these disruptive technologies can be used for a lot of good, but they can also, as with any technology, be used for very, very bad purposes. In particular, I will remind you again what this Unit 6.1 specifically focuses on is it compromises the sovereignty of a state. That is the power of the government to control what goes on in its borders. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. There'll be another series of videos for Unit 6.2. I will pop those under a different playlist.